Good morning. This is Knowledge Time. Welcome, alchemists. Today I'll be reading from the book The Laws of Human Nature by Robert Greene. I'm in Chapter 6, Elevate Your Perspective, The Law of Shortsightedness, Part 2, Keys to Human Nature. Almost all of us have experienced something similar to the following scenarios. Someone we need or depend on is not paying us proper attention, not returning our calls, feeling frustrated. We express our feelings to him or double our efforts to get a response, or we encounter a problem, a project that is not going well, and so we decide upon a strategy and take appropriate action. Or a new person appears in our life, and captivated by her fresh energy and charm, we become friends. Then 2 weeks go by, and we are forced to reassess what had happened and how we had reacted. New information comes to light. That person who was not responding to us was himself overwhelmed with work. If only we had just waited and not been so impatient, we could have avoided pushing away a valuable ally. That problem we tried to solve was not really so urgent, and we made it worse by rushing an outcome. We needed to know more before acting, and that new friend ends up not being so charming. In fact, time reveals her to be a destructive sociopath whose friendship takes us years to heal from. A little more distant could have let us see the red flags before it was too late. Looking back on our life, we see that we have a tendency to be impatient and to overreact. We notice patterns of behavior over long periods of time that elude us in the moment but become clearer to us later on. What this means is that in the present moment, we lack perspective. With the passage of time, we gain more information and see more of the truth. What was invisible to us in the present now becomes visible in retrospect. Excuse me. Time is the greatest teacher of them all, the revealer of reality. We can compare this to the following visual phenomena. At the base of a mountain in a thick forest, we have no ability to get our bearings or to map out our surroundings. We see only what is before our eyes. If we begin to move up the side of the mountain, we can see more of our surroundings and how they relate to other parts of the landscape. The higher we go, the more we realize that what we thought further below was not quite accurate, was based on a slightly distorted perspective. At the top of the mountain, we have a clear panoramic view of the scene and perfect clarity as to the lay of the land. For us humans, locked in the present moment, it as if we are living at the base of the mountain. What is most apparent to our eyes? The other people around us, the surrounding forest, gives us a limited, skewed vision of reality. The passage of time is like a slow ascent up the mountain. The emotions we felt in the present are no longer so strong. We can detach ourselves and see things more clearly. The further we ascend with the passage of time, the more information we add to the picture. What we saw 3 months after the fact is not quite as accurate as what we come to know a year later. It would seem then that wisdom tends to come to us when it is too late, mostly in hindsight. But there is, in fact, a way for us humans to manufacture the effect of time, to give ourselves an expanded view in the present moment. We can call this the Farsighted Perspective, and it requires the following process. First, facing a problem, conflict, or some exciting opportunity, we train ourselves to detach from the heat of the moment. We work to calm down our excitement or our fear. We get some distance. Next, we start to deepen and widen our perspective. In considering the nature of the problem we are confronting, we don't just grab for an immediate explanation, but instead we dig deeper and consider other possibilities, other possible motivations for the people involved. We force ourselves to look at the overall context of, of the event, not just what immediately grabs our attention. We imagine as best we can the negative consequences of the various strategies we are contemplating. We consider how the problem or the apparent opportunity might play itself out over time, how other problems or issues not apparent in the moment might suddenly loom larger than what we are immediately dealing with. We focus on our long-term goals and realign our priorities in the present according to them. In other words, this process involves distance from the present, a deeper look at the source of problems, a wider perspective on the overall context of the situation, and a look further into the future, including the consequences of our actions and our own long-term priorities. As we go through this process, certain options and explanations will begin to seem more logical and realistic than others that grabbed us in the moment. We add to this the lessons we have learned over the years about our own patterns of behavior. In this way, though we cannot recreate the full effect that time has on our thinking, we can approximate it. Most often, the passing months give us even more information and reveal better options for us to have taken. We are manufacturing this effect in the present by widening what we consider and opening our minds. We are moving up the mountain. Such an elevated perspective can calm us down and make it easier for us to maintain our presence of mind as events unfold. Although this stands as an idea, we must admit that such a perspective is rare among us humans. It seems to require an effort that is almost beyond us. The reason for this is simple. Short-term thinking is hardwired into our system. We are built to respond to what is immediate and to seek out instant gratification. For our early human ancestors, it paid to notice what was potentially dangerous in the environment or what offered an opportunity for food. The human brain, as it evolved, was designed not to examine the full picture and context of an event, but to home in on the most dramatic features. This worked well in a relatively simple environment and amid the simple social organization of the tribe, but it is not suited to the complex world we now live in. It makes us take notice mostly of what stimulates our senses and emotions, and miss much of the larger picture. This was a decided impact on how we view the potential pleasure or pain involved in a situation. Our brains are designed to make us notice what could immediately harm us in our surroundings, but not to pay great attention to other dangers looming in the future that are more abstract. This is why we tend to give much more attention to something like terrorism, immediate pain, which certainly deserves our scrutiny, than to global warming, distant pain, which in fact represents the greater danger since it puts the very survival of the planet at risk. But such a danger seems abstract in the present. By the time it becomes not abstract at all, it might be too late. We tend also to grab for things that offer immediate pleasure, even if we know about the negative long-term consequences. That is why people continue to smoke, drink, do drugs, or engage in any self-destructive behavior in which the destruction is not immediate and dramatic. In a world that is complex with myriad dangers that loom in the future, our short-term tendencies pose a continual threat to our well-being. And as our attention spans decrease because of technology, the threat is even greater. In many ways, we are defined by our relationship to time. When we simply react to what we see and hear, When we swing from excitement and exuberance to fear and panic at each new piece of dramatic news, when we gear our actions toward gaining as much pleasure as possible in the moment without a thought for future consequences, we can say that we are giving in to our animal nature, to what is most primitive and potentially destructive in our neurological makeup. When we strive to go against this grain, to consider more deeply the consequences of what we do and the nature of our long-term priorities, we are straining to realize our true human potential as the thinking animal. And just as short-term thinking can be contagious, one individual who embodies the wisdom of the farsighted perspective can have an immensely positive effect on the people around him or her. Such individuals make us aware of the larger picture and reveal a mindset that we recognize as superior. We want to imitate them. Throughout history, there have been various icons of this wisdom to inspire and guide us. Joseph in the Old Testament, who could see into the hearts of men and foresee the future. Socrates of ancient Greece, who taught us how to be less foolish and more consequential in our thinking. The brilliant strategist Zhu Lang of ancient China, who could predict every movement of the enemy. Leaders such as Queen Elizabeth I and Abraham Lincoln, renowned for the success of their long-term strategizing. The very patient and prescient scientist Charles Darwin, who finally exposed the effects of deep time on the evolution of all living things. And Warren Buffett, the most successful investor in history, whose power is based on his farsighted perspective. If possible, avoid deep contact with those whose time frame is narrow, who are in continual react mode, and strive to associate with those with an expanded awareness of time. In closing, subscribe to the channel, comment any questions you have, like if the information was inspiring for you, and share this knowledge with other alchemists. Also, follow me on Instagram for more progressive knowledge. You can catch me at Max_Bugatti_8008. I'm all about family first. I'm a global stock investor. I'm a filmmaker. I'm an aerospace botanist. I'm currently working on a masculine and confidence building program. And currently, I'm out here in Cali, Colombia. While you're slaying dragons, I'll be taming them.